it's Michelle, the Tupperware lady, and we are going to make some lo mein noodles for lunch, but we're going to use butternut squash instead of the noodles, because, you know, we're all trying to be a little bit healthier. So guys, what I've started to do, I already started a little bit, is I'm using butternut squash. So when you're doing butternut squash to make noodles, you're only going to use the neck end of it, not the bulb where the seeds are, because those don't make very good noodles. Save that for another time. You're just going to use the neck end. Well guys, true story, my butternut squash was huge, huge. The neck actually took up the whole thing, which I needed it smaller than that, so I cut it in half, but it was still huge. So I have actually cut my neck into chunks, and I have one of them that I did already, just because I just wanted to see how it worked for you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of my chunks in here. Now you see this is, you know, rectangle shaped. So I'm going to have a couple of long noodles, but I'm actually going to have a whole bunch of, you know, smaller noodles, which for me, that's fine, because, you know, I'm not going to have to cut them then to eat them. So it works out perfectly well for me. So I'm just going to put my squash in there, put my butternut in, get the guide in, lock it into place, and I am now just going to sit here and make my noodles just like this. Look at them coming out. They're actually not bad size. I'm using the small spaghetti size noodle, not the thicker fettuccine one, and sure not the ribbon, because these are lo mein noodles. So I want the smaller noodle. And check it out, there's that little bit left. Let's put another one in. I'm just cooking for me, so I'm really not sure how much I want, but you know what? Let's make extra, because this could be lunch tomorrow too. Or, you know, it's all vegetables. Maybe it'll all be lunch. We'll see. Put it in, lock it into place, and just start turning, spiralize away. Just like this. And I want you watching at the top. You watch how it unlocks when it's all done. Just like this. I am making noodles. There it goes. It's unlocked. It is done. And check out my noodles in there. I have got some nice butternut squash noodles. And guys, that just came from a little bit. I'm going to do one more and then call it good. And then we'll head to the stove. So let's get that piece in there. Push. We'll lock it into place. Make sure my bowl is underneath. And off we go making noodles. Look at how fast this is. Look at how simple this is. I like to take this, guys. Sometimes I'll go to a Tupperware event and I'll put a try me station up and I'll have zucchinis and potatoes and whatever for everybody to try. Kids love this. Kids just flock to see what I'm doing. So okay, let's take this to the stove and let's bring you over to the stove. Okay, this is our Tupperware sawtooth pan, and it is actually one of my all-time favorites. I am going to put just a tiny little bit of oil in there because it doesn't take very much at all. It's Tupperware, and we're just going to let that heat up for half a second. And then I am going to pour all of my butter squash noodles into there just to get them started. Let's make sure I have every bit of them out of the bowl because we don't want to miss any, guys. Right? And then I am just going to stand here for a couple of minutes. Let's make sure they all are covered in oil. Break them apart. Get them, stir them all up with oil. And we're going to let them cook for just a few minutes. My butternut squash has been cooking for just a couple minutes. You guys, check this out. Look at it. Isn't that the cutest thing? How can people not like butternut squash noodles? Cutest thing ever. So anyway, I don't want them mush. I just wanted to start to soften them so that when I put everything together, they don't have very long to cook. So now these are done, or you know, as done as I'm going to make them. And I am going to put them into my bowl, back into my bowl. It's a gorgeous yellow, isn't it? Do you see how nothing is sticking on the bottom of my pan? That's awesome. All right, I'm not going to worry about the last tiny little pieces. I am going to add one more itty bitsy teensy tiny little splash of oil, just like that, no more than that. And then I am going to dump in my vegetables. And I just have here red peppers and mushrooms and onions. You use whatever your favorite vegetables for your lo mein are. You could be using broccoli. What else do you guys put in your lo mein? All right, so we're just going to let those cook for just a couple of minutes, just to soften them. So I've just been cooking these vegetables long enough for them to release a little bit of liquid, long enough to wilt just a little bit. And again, this is just so you can personalize it however much you want. Get your vegetables done as much as you want them done. And now I have a couple of cloves of garlic. Looks like a lot, but you know what? I love garlic, so I don't care. Let's get some garlic going in there, just till I can start to smell it. Oh my gosh, I love the smell of garlic. And then I have, this is the equivalent, you know, of course I keep my spinach in a Fridge Smart, but this is the equivalent of one of those bags of spinach. So then, you know, roughly 3 cups packed. And we are just going to stir this around just to get that spinach wilted. Wilt it down, get all the vegetables mixed in. This is going to be a great lunch. And of course, you know, you can make this a supper too. And if you don't want it to be all vegetables, go right ahead and add some of your shredded chicken or some pork. Put something else in it, perfectly fine. Okay, so that's starting to wilt enough that I can get all of my butternut squash back in here, all of my noodles. Get my lo mein noodles in here, and now you are just going to finish cooking it until it is pretty much as done as what you want. All I have left to do is add my sauce. Okay, heat my noodles back up, make sure that my spinach is wilted. Everything is how I want it. Awesome. And now my sauce, which for me, you know, you can absolutely use soy sauce, but for mine, this is coconut aminos and a little bit of maple syrup for sweetness. There's some ginger in here. And you know, of course, I'm going to share the recipe. And now I'm just going to stir it up so it's all nicely coated. Nicely coated and hot. Isn't that gorgeous, you guys? Gorgeous. Beautiful. Now, I should have a bowl because, you know, it's lo mein and we usually have a bowl for the lo mein, but today I am going to turn off the burner and I'm going to pile this onto my plate. I should try to spin it so it's pretty, but you know what? It's lunchtime. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make myself a nice plate full. I have in here just a couple of peanuts that I'm going to sprinkle on top. Just made it a little bit more Asian probably than lo mein. And then I'm going to reach up here and grab my sesame seeds
we're going to sprinkle some sesame seeds on top as well. And check it out, guys. There is a nice healthy plate of lo mein butternut squash noodles. You guys have a great day.